Hello, everybody. We're back after the bye week. This is episode 19 of the Bucs UK podcast. I'm your host, Alex, again. Unfortunately, Kieran, he's still not quite well. He is recovering. Kieran, from us all, we hope you do recover soon. You're back in this host seat. But in the meantime, you've got to put up with me again. And I'm joined this time by Dom, Gary, and Tim. Hello, all.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
As usual, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, leave us a comment as well. We are always reading them. You can find us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Those links are in the description below. Please come and join us as well. We're always wanting to welcome new members to Bucs UK. Visit our website, www.bucsuk.org, and then click on the Join tab, and all the information you require will be on there. If you want to send us a video message as well, you can WhatsApp us on 07311 212 713. And who knows, you might even see your message appear on one of our podcasts in the future. And finally, but by no means least, a big thank you, as always, to Bucs Report for supporting us and promoting our podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you want to check them out, their links are also in the description below. Let's crack on and let's have a look at the game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So after two losses in a row against the Rams and the Chiefs, the Bucs had their bye week and returned with a bang and a great win against the Minnesota Vikings, winning 26 points to 14. That's another step closer to playoffs. However, there is definitely still work to do. So, Gary, that was a bit more fun to watch, wasn't it, compared to what we've seen before the bye?
It was fun to watch because we won. They were very, the word I would use is rusty. I know they had a bye week, but they don't practice anymore. They just rest up, don't they? They only practice in the last few days up to the game. So I think they came out a bit rusty. But sometimes you've got to win ugly. And the important thing for me was that they got the win because you need momentum now. This time in the season. You don't win the Super Bowl in September. You win it by getting hot towards the end of the season. And, you know, in football parlance over here, yeah, you'd love to win 6-0 every week. But if you win 1-0 with a scrappy own goal in the 93rd minute, you'll take it all day long. And that's for me, that scrappy goal in the 93rd minute. Win ugly, I'm happy with that because, again, in football parlance over here, it was 3 points.
Definitely, yeah. As you say, sometimes just grinding out that result can be what you need and can get you over the finish line. So absolutely, I agree with you there, Gary. Tim, what about your? Sorry.
In terms of the win against the Vikings, because it obviously gives us the head-to-head win over them. So it was doubly important from that point of view.
Absolutely. Tim, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I thought it was an old NFC Central clash. It was fairly ugly early on. We couldn't stop the run early, but then we seemed to make the necessary adjustments. And then once we took the lead and got a convincing lead, you took their main weapon out. As soon as Dalvin Cook really left the game in terms of an entity to impact it, we looked quite comfortable. But like Gary said, we were again very slow out of the gate. I know both sides, I think, really struggled early on. And I know we'll mention it quite a few times. I've never been so relieved to see another kicker fail in Tampa Stadium. A bit disappointed he was kicking in my other fantasy team, but you can't win them all. But it was a very good win, if not particularly convincing.
Dom, as Tim alluded to there, yes, again, a slow start for us, but thankfully we got going and the win was there for us in the end.
Yes, I think like Gary said, a win's a win. There's no bad wins in the NFL. What surprised me, we only had the ball for 20 minutes, which apparently is the lowest in 29 years where we've won the game. And that first quarter, I ain't got much left now. This is following Tampa Bay. Pulling my hair out. It was just crazy. The Dalvin Cook was finding big holes. He was running through. They had 27 more snaps than us. Like I say, they had 40 minutes possession, but we found a way to win. And in the end, it was quite comfortable, I thought, after that first quarter. So a win's a win. Move on. Like Gary says, you can't win it in September, but you certainly can lose it then. And we're still in it, and we're going to do it.
Absolutely. It's all about building up those wins at the moment, just keeping that win record, or that win-loss record, the best we can to try and hit these playoffs for the first timing, however long it is. So, yeah, all valid points there, gentlemen. So let's just move on and look at the offense in more detail. Now, as we've already mentioned, it was a slow start. The defense really had to work hard in that first quarter to keep our offense, or give our offense a chance at least to keep going. A big thing for me, and I was checking this before we came on, was we had 0 turnovers, which is huge in the NFL. We know how turnovers can kill you. I thought McCoy was effective when he was on the field. It was good to see him have a few snaps as well, and he played well on those few snaps he had. Dom, we'll come back to you first this occasion. What did you think about the offense?
Well, like you said, 0 turnovers, first time since week 7. Which was excellent. And also, I don't think I thought I'd be saying this, but Donovan Smith, well done, mate. Well done. Played well. No sacks again. They got no sacks. And in fact, Brady, I think he thought there'd be more pressure. He was throwing a bit early because he got more time than what he thought, especially when he stepped up in the pocket. I think he thought, when you look back at him, because he was missing a few passes early on by quite a bit, overthrowing, and I was a bit concerned, but he got into it. And like you said about McCoy, that was great. Straight after the second half, and I think unfortunately because Rojo broke his pinky, I think they call it, not his little finger, which is why McCoy came in. And on that drive, I wrote it down here, he had runs of 10, 5, 3 and 14 yards. Fortunately, he never had another run after that. But we marched up the field 75 yards to get that touchdown. And superb, yeah, really good.
As David said last week, get the run game going. And look what happened. We managed to get the game moving. And I agree with what you said about the O-line, Dom. I think they've really stepped up recently. And I have no criticism for Donovan Smith either. And that's saying something, because I'm always absolutely hounding him. So absolutely,
I know you are.
I'm not the only one, but I'm definitely
you're not.
I'm definitely guilty of that one. Gary, what did you think of the offense against the Vikings?
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, a bit rusty when they started out. Probably, in fairness, a bit rusty towards the end as well, because we were on the field so little. I think it was effectively 46 meaningful snaps on offense, if you exclude the kneel downs and the field goal. So, a little bit rusty. The one thing that sparked them into action for me was that absolutely brilliant touchdown to Scotty Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
absolutely.
every game needs a spark. The Green Bay game, if you remember, 10-0 down, Carlton Davis, I think it was, stepped in front of the receiver, took it back to the house, never looked back. And I think that Carlton Davis moment in this game, for me, was the Scotty Miller touchdown that was just fantastic. I love the aggression that we went with towards the end of the half, getting the ball back, spiking it with a second to go, throwing it into the end zone. Penalties for once. There was one penalty on Sue that hurt us early in the game, but penalties on them really hurt them and benefited us. And on that last drive, and then kicking the 3 points before the half, that was crucial.
I just want to add a bit more to your point about the penalties, Gary, because I was looking at that as well. The Vikings had 5 penalties for 71 yards. We have 5 penalties for 34. So as you say, Gary, it really hurt the Vikings more on penalties than it did to us. And again, Scotty Miller's touchdown, I was jumping all over the place when we scored that. Cause the word I've written down on my notes here, or the phrase, should I say, is a thing of beauty. That throw was perfect, and it was stunning to watch that play. Tim, what about you? What do you think about the way that your offense plays?
The offense certainly came to life after that Scotty Miller catch, and you've got to see that from the side angle where you see his face mask being grabbed at the same time he caught the ball. Outstanding piece of concentration. That got us going. I'm still frustrated the way we start the game. All the time we are struggling. Our defense is out there for a while, and we do 3 and outs. We get the 3rd and 2, and we throw a long ball. The percentage plays we are picking at that time are poor. We've had a defense that's been on the field for 8, 9, 10 plays, and we get them straight back out there again. That has got to stop. And if we got 3rd and 2, don't lob it 30 yards down the field or try that. Gronk can't run like he did 10 years ago. He's got a job to run like me at the moment. But he is really struggling to run with any pace at all. So you don't throw him down the field. That is probably my one real frustration with the offense. The offensive line, I've got to say, yes, I was highly critical of them throughout the season. Donovan Smith, quite rightly, has been highlighted as much improved. But I will take the 2 guys on the right-hand side of Tristan Wirfs and Alex Kappa. Were probably, 100%. At this moment, performing as well as any right side in the league at this moment.
Yeah.
Delighted. People criticised Kappa's selection a couple of years ago. You sat him for a year, you're now seeing it. 2 small colleges, him and Marpet, brilliant. That offensive line looks good. And for the first time, I can say we may not look at offensive line in the draft very early next year.
You're right, Tim. It was the whole line. We picked individual players, but as a collective unit, they were superb. As Dom said, no sacks. I think Brady was only hit 2 or 3 times during the whole game.
Yeah.
And they had a hell of a lot more, snaps than we did. So
it's probably the cleanest game our line has played this year.
Yeah. Do you think the leadership Brady brings has given that O-line a bit of extra confidence? Winston was always very, don't worry, next play it'll be fine. That's not Brady. If there's a mistake, Brady will call them out. Do you think that's maybe making the difference to this O-line, knowing that they're going to have to take account for the errors they're making with Brady?
I do. I don't think they want to be the guy to end Brady's career if they're not careful. and be called out for that and end the Bucs season. This offensive line, I am mightily impressed with now. As Gary said, they're a unit who work together. And our offensive line in the last 3 years has been full of holes. Would Winston play behind this offensive line, played as well as he? I still don't think so. But Brady encourages that behaviour, that winning mentality, and we've now got that.
Brady gets rid of the ball quicker than Winston used to as well, didn't he? So it makes it a bit easier for him, whereas Winston used to dance about.
Yeah, so I think the reason with Brady throwing that ball quicker is that he can't use his legs. When we had Winston, he was very confident of moving out the pocket and running if he need be. And if you look at Brady's combine tape, bless him, athleticism was not his strong points, which could be the reason why he's getting this ball out so quick. And it's what he's been doing at New England for many years anyway. Tim, just going back, sort of linking on to that, just going back to what you were saying about Brady throwing these deep balls and the fact that Gronk's certainly not as quick as he used to be. I believe it was Phil who mentioned in a few episodes back about playing to Brady's strengths and throwing those underneath short throws just to make those 2 or 3 yards you need on the 3rd down. Yeah. Do we need to see more of that, do you think?
Absolutely. I was going to come on to the Vikings offense a bit later, where they were beating us, and teams over the last few weeks has beaten us just beyond the line of scrimmage, 2-3 yards, and then picking up 10. Again, I referenced David White in that, but that's where we're going wrong. You've got a high percentage play, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, dink it over the top. Why are we taking that 5% shot? Not just this week, but every week we seem to be doing it, and we don't seem to be changing that up at any point. And that's something the coaches have really got to look at.
So do you think
that's how we have too many 3 and outs?
So do you think the play calling is still an issue on that note as well?
Oh, absolutely. If that's what's called, why are we throwing a 20-yard pattern when we need 2 yards?
And
at that particular point in the game.
And what about these slow starts? Where's at some point the offense? I know David mentioned last week about the offense is still gelling. I do agree with him, but at some point this offense has really got to get moving and give our defense some help, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's very frustrating, isn't it? Watching the slow starts. It's so and they seem to have no problem with it. Now, maybe you could say it was because of the bye week, a bit rusty. But I've thought, talking of fantasy teams, I put Tampa Bay's defense in on my heavy defeat to Mariana. They were really rusty, weren't they, to start with? Again, I presume we'll get onto it. They did pick it up. But like you say, the slow start, they had no trouble, did they? So whether it's down to rust, I don't know. It makes no sense. Brady was overthrowing. We were running straight down the middle, getting nothing. 3 and outs, 3 and outs.
We can't keep using this excuse. We are 13 games into the season.
Yeah.
There's not very long to go to make this gel.
No.
If we're still looking at that point.
Yeah.
And also
down to the business end.
Absolutely. So I agree with you completely, Tim. Gary, I just want to discuss this run game a bit more because we've spoken about that so many times on this podcast over the weeks we've been doing this. We had more attempts this week than we did against the Chiefs. It was only 13 against the Chiefs, 26 against the Vikings. We got a decent run game still, haven't we? I mean, it was working. Rojo made some good progress. McCoy was there as well. We need to stick with this run game, surely.
Yeah. Well, we should, and of course, every team wants to do that. I mean, Rojo was excellent. Shady was excellent when he came on. A bit concerned that Rojo is injured, and same injury by the sound of it that Godwin had, and he missed a game. So if that's the case and Fournette comes in next week, I just hope he's really angry because they sat it last week. But yeah, the run game, we've absolutely got to keep pounding that rock, as they used to say. On an interesting note on the pass attempts, I think it was the lowest Brady's had for donkey's years. So, when we talk about balance, it was perfectly balanced, albeit I think it was probably more by accident than design.
Mentioning Fournette is a good point there, Gary, because I was very surprised he was benched. I don't know what the story is. I don't know what's going on behind there. Surely next time he comes or he's active and he's playing, he's going to want to prove something to Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich after sitting out this game.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? You
would hope so, for sure. I mean, he's got a contract next year to earn, hasn't he? So he's going to want to be on the field, and he's going to want to really go for it.
Yeah, I was impressed with McCoy. I thought he just seems a bit more patient, doesn't he? Whether that's with the experience. I mean, he's been there, done that, hasn't he? But he just held off just for that split second, just to find out where the gap is. He just didn't run headlong into him. I thought very impressed with him.
I mean, one thing say again, sorry, Gary.
I was going to say, I wish he would hold the ball better.
Yes. Waves it out.
And it frightens me today.
Yeah,
Gary, he's been doing that for 10 seasons. That isn't going to change.
I know but we've been doing really well for fumbles this year. We've only had sort of 2 or 3, and he's a fumble waiting to happen if he holds.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, just we've spoken about some great positives about the offense in terms of the running game, which is fantastic here, but just slightly changing there, or clipping ever so slightly to the negative aspect. We're still not seeing a lot of variety in this running game. All we're doing is going down the middle. Surely at some point, teams are going to suss us out here. Because we're not going to the edge, we're just constant. And even on the first down, I tweeted just before we had our first offensive drive, this is going to be a pass. Yeah, right. What happens? Down the middle. Surely we've got to mix up a bit more. Teams are going to work us out, aren't they?
I said this the last time I appeared on here. We're a very static offense at the snap of the ball. You look at most other teams around the league. There's jet sweeps coming in. They're trying everything to move people around the field, create the mismatch. We go out in our set formation and then hope it works from there. It can work quite a lot of the time. It's down to very good blocking. And Ronald Jones, in fairness, has broke a huge amount of tackles this year. But what could he do in that space? You saw his touchdown catch a couple of weeks ago in space. The 98-yard run, he's not short of legs. So we don't always play to some of his strengths either, and then he gets some undue criticism. That's again down to play calling.
Do we think about the lack of motion and a lack of creativity in terms of the run game? Could there be, because obviously that focuses hugely on the O-line, because they're going to have to move left or right or whatever motion is called, they've got to link into that as well. We were saying about how good the O-line is being on the pass rush, and I completely agree, and how great it has been to create those gaps for Rojo. Maybe is there still maybe a lack of trust ever so slightly that yes, we'll do those things, but we're not willing to mix up a bit?
We are not the most athletic line at left tackle. Now, Wirfs can move, so can Kappa and Marpet Jensen. Donovan Smith is not a sweep type blocker. He works in a very small area. So if we start to run that, it's only ever going to go right at this moment. So there is still some work to be done there.
There's certainly positives to look at, many positives, because I was certainly impressed with our offense overall. But these these slow starts, as we said, are a problem, and we do need the offense to really start clicking a bit sooner, especially to give our defense a bit of a break. On that note, we will move on to our defense, gentlemen, and I'm looking forward to talking about our defense because I thought, long story short, I thought they were phenomenal. They had to work so hard to keep. The fact the offense kept going 3 and out, they were coming back on the field so quick. Sacked Cousins 6 times. They made some huge stops. The game sealing play by JPP at the end, the strip fumble. Although Dalvin Cook, he certainly gave our rush defense a lot of work on Sunday. Gary, tell us your thoughts on the defense.
Like you, Alex, I thought they were excellent. You mentioned the 6 sacks, but it wasn't just the 6 sacks. It was the time in the game that they came. They were crucial. We had 2 back-to-back on the second drive, was it? And then he missed the field goal, I think, from memory. So it was the time that they came. I don't profess to know anything about defense. I couldn't tell you a zone from a man, from a Tampa 2 or anything. The only thing I want to see on defense is I want to see the quarterback running for his life. I want to see some, I think the word the TV commentators use is jamming the receiver at the line of scrimmage to throw off the timing of the play. We don't seem to do that. Interestingly, on Buccaneers.com, today there is Ron D. Barber's film session, and one of the plays he breaks down is one of Shaq Barrett's sacks, and you see quite clearly that Cousins wants to go to the receivers on his left, but we've got a cornerback right in the face of the receiver, and they lay hands on them as the ball is snapped. So Cousins can't go there. He's dancing around looking for someone to pass to. Shaq Barrett gets to him. I mean, for me, it isn't rocket science. You jam them at the line, you get after the quarterback, and we got after him big time in the second half, and that was phenomenal to see.
Like you, Gary, I don't pretend to know much about defense, recognising plays or anything. One thing I did recognise, and I was watching very closely in this game, was what we were playing in terms of the pass coverage, whether it was zone or man, given all the issues that our secondary has had against the zone. I think I did see a lot more man this time. Dom, what did you make of our pass defense in terms of, it seemed to me we did switch it up and gave Cousins a really hard afternoon.
Yeah, especially when he was trying to play catch-up later, when he couldn't rely on Dalvin Cook. When he couldn't rely on Dalvin Cook. I should remember his name because I'm still crying we didn't draft him. I thought it was superb.
I was waiting for someone to mention about us not drafting Cook.
I still remember that night. Nightmare. I was convinced. Anyway, but Shaq Barrett, you were on about Fournette earning a contract. My God, he certainly put his name forward about a contract. 2 sacks, 3 hits, 4 tackles, and he was always trouble. There was the once where he just jumped offside, I think, but that was very close. But I think a mention should go to Antoine Winfield. He's turning into my favourite player, I think. Again, he had 12 tackles and a sack, but he is everywhere. A bit like you were saying, a bit Rodney Barber-esque, probably. I don't know if it was going through his game, but I thought, fantastic. There was the one bugbear was the poor tackling, especially that first quarter. We got to the man with the ball, but we didn't bring them down, and they seemed to bounce off us. Now it's not easy with Cook, but some of the others as well, some of the receivers, and they were making another 5 and 10 yards. But
I mean, the Vikings have got, there's 3 players offensively which are scary. There's their rookie Jefferson, their wide receiver rookie, who has been outstanding this year.
Adam who had a quiet game.
He did. I thought our secondary did really well actually to keep him quiet. Adam Thielen as well. He didn't have too much in the end either, and he's a really good player too. And obviously, like you say about the missed tackles, Dom. Dalvin Cook was just barging through our run defense. So Tim, let's just have a quick chat about our run defense and Dalvin Cook. This was the first game this season that our run defense gave up over 100 yards. Dalvin Cook finished with 102. This guy's good, isn't he? Dalvin Cook's just good.
You just literally summed it up. He's probably the top 2 or 3 backs in the league at this moment. If you take Derrick Henry out of the equation, he may be right up there, him and Nick Chubb. That is a good running back. And yeah, Dom, yes, we should have drafted him, but that's beside the point. If you concede 100-yard runner this season, I don't see a problem in that. Did the Minnesota Vikings win the game? No, because we took it away from them and then took still their best player in Dalvin Cook out of the equation. Once you do that, you're then relying on Cousins to hit Thielen and Jefferson. And as you said, our defensive backs had one of their better games in the last few weeks on Sunday. Carlton Davis was better again. He struggles, obviously, against outright speed, as everybody. But speed will kill anybody. Murphy Bunting, I'm still a bit worried about how he covers. He seems to be a long way away from the game. But my problem, and I'm going to hate saying this currently, is how Devin White and Levante David are playing the pass. They seem to be helping out our corners and safeties a lot more. That gap in the middle of the field when we played against Kelsey, again, Irv Smith, no disrespect to the gentleman, but who is he in the conversation of tight ends? Yet he was looking like Callum Winslow out there.
Well, Tim,
that's my big problem with the way we are scheming our defense at the moment. White and David are good at running down people and hitting people in the run game. We're struggling a little bit more in the short pass game.
I mean, for me, that's always been a problem for the Buccaneers. This gap behind behind the linebackers. If you cast your mind back to when Greg Olsen played for the Panthers, he used to destroy us every single game. It's always been a problem.
It's certainly I don't know what's happened with, as you're saying, Tim. I don't know what's really happened with Levante David and Devin White recently. They've gone really, really quiet. Have they run out of steam?
No, they're still great in the run game, and their support game is good. Now, the problem is, if those two are expected to cover the best part of 50 yards by themselves, we're playing 5 defensive backs. Have we got to bring a Winfield or a Mike Edwards closer to the line of scrimmage to support that part of the game? That possibly should be Edwards's or Winfield's role, is taking that tight end on.
I mean, I wonder,
like David and White then, to take on rushing the passer a little bit more as well, of which they are very good at.
I wonder if the reason that we're not, this is me just playing guesswork here, I don't know, you gents won't either, but I wonder if the reason we don't see a lot of support for White and David is because the trust that Bowles has in them. We know they are, in my opinion, Levante David and Devin White are the 2 best linebacker pairing in the NFL. I think they're phenomenal. But as you and Gary have touched on, in the past, they're dreadful. There was I can't remember which one. There was a few games back where we were defending on the goal line. Levante David was just waving his hands all over. We weren't set, and I think it might have been against the Saints actually. And they scored a touchdown play there because for whatever reason they just can't work in the pass. One thing that did catch my eye, gentlemen, during the game was our defense couldn't seem to get off the field on 4th down. For me, that was an issue. I think the Vikings converted 3 or 4 4th downs, particularly in the second half. Thankfully, we'll come on to Dan Bailey soon. I'll put a massive heart around his name on my notes. I absolutely love the gentleman right now. But the defense has got to get off the field. If not 3rd down, they've got to get off on 4th down, surely.
Yeah. Well, they were running fourth downs because of Dan Bailey, weren't they? That was the main reason. But it is very frustrating. I agree. I ain't got an answer for you, but I know when it's fourth, you think, well, I like them to go for it at fourth down. I think, come on, we're going to get the ball at good position. But they always seem to blooming make it, don't they?
Don't forget that the majority of the fourth downs that they made were towards the end of the game when they're chasing it. And we're probably playing a bit softer, giving them a bit too much room, which is a very nasty habit that we have. But they're burning time off the clock. And at the end of the day, look at the scoreboard, as Tim said.
Yeah, because they knew that they weren't going to kick it. So just...
They were two scores behind.
Yeah, I'm generally not too worried about the fourth downs they converted. My problem will be going back to the start of how many times we keep our defence on the field too long in terms of not giving them a rest of the 3 and outs and the short drives. For a Brady-led offence, we've had too many of those all season.
Yeah, and with the players we got.
Certainly, if we do get to the playoffs, fingers crossed, of course, it's looking good.
We will. We will.
I love the optimism, Dom. It's a short season, but everyone knows how tough the NFL is on the player's body. As we said before, the offense has got to help this defense out, and there's a risk that injuries can pile up, and that could affect the playoff chances. So we really do need this Tom Brady-led offense to give our defense some help there.
Yeah, even if it's 2 or 3 first downs, just to kill 3-4 minutes off the clock, even if we punt at the end of that, that is much more effective than throwing a 30-yard bomb on 3rd and 2.
Absolutely. I'd say just a quick opinion of mine. I don't know what you guys think, but whatever happens this season, I'm going to look back and I'll be proud of this defense. Yes, the soft coverage coverage has been infuriating, but I look at, as we said, Antoine Winfield Jr., who has been a star as far as I'm concerned in this defense. Devin White, captain, Levante David, those who leading in the middle, the defensive line. I think they've all been absolutely fantastic. So either way, whatever happens, I'm proud of this defense. Tim, I can see you.
Go on, Alex. Go on, son. Well,
can I just mention one player we haven't touched on tonight, whose contribution Sunday was immense, was Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yes, are you reading my notes, Tim?
Well,
go for it. Please continue.
That guy, we talk about the emotional leader of the defense. We got the captains on the defense. That guy sets the tone. Yeah, and, they're talking about will he be back next season and all the rest of it. He should be first round his house.
Yeah.
Getting him back for a couple more years. The guy has been it was an epic pickup, a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
To get that gentleman in the 3 years we've had out of him has been absolutely superb.
100%. I mean, we were saying about players earning contracts, as you say, Tim. Surely JPP, he's got to be so high up that list. His emotion. I know he's not a captain, but his leadership, he still shows it on the field. The emotion he shows on the sideline. And who was it that sealed the game for us at the end? JPP, the strip fumble. He stepped up, and you want your leaders, you want those experienced defensive players to step up, and that's exactly what JPP did.
And he brings Shaq Barrett with him, and when he's going well, Shaq Barrett goes well.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure JPP is actually under contract for next year.
Has he got one more?
He's got one more year. Even better.
One more year.
Well, if he's got,
I thought it was this year.
Even if he's got one more year, give him an extension. Jason, if you're watching, get an extension for JPP. I'm going for it. I am behind this defense. Let me tell you that.
Go on, mate. Go on.
So let's move on to special teams now. Tim, let's start with you. Go on, give us your feelings on special teams. I'll be honest, I struggled to write much down for notes, so I'm hoping you've got something on to special teams.
The only thing I could say particularly was I was gobsmacked when Suckup missed the extra point. That seemed to come from nowhere.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that, because just before he missed that, I tweeted out, "I love watching field goals." So I'll take the blame for that one.
That was the only disappointment in what seems to have solved our kicking issue. Touch wood and everything else around. We seem to have solved our kicking issue for the next couple of seasons. Bradley Pinion again did his job very quietly. A couple of real good punts straight into the 20-yard line. I know Gary doesn't like punters particularly, but I'm quite a big fan of his. His kickoff's superb. he always puts us in a pretty decent position. So special teams, I can't say anything about. I could say a lot about Minnesota's, but there's not a lot to say about ours. Just very, very efficient.
I'll say about Minnesota's Dan Bailey, on behalf of all Buccaneer fans, we love you.
Yeah.
Gary,
he kicked actually more like Bill Bailey. But,
Hey.
well, he missed 3 field goals and 1 PAT. So he's missed 10 points for them. If that was, I mean, that is like a butt kicker 2 years ago or 1 season ago. That'd be expecting that from us, not someone else.
That did help us establish that 17-point lead, because it would have been much closer if he kicked a couple of those field goals. Not saying it would have made a difference to the outcome, but it would have made it slightly more interesting.
But
Gary, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think had he kicked those points, what it would have done is change the complexion of the game. No, it wouldn't necessarily have changed the result.
So, yeah.
But it would have changed the play calling. It would have, we might, for example, at the end of the half, gone for the touchdown instead of kicking the 3 points ourselves. Things like that. So, I mean, in terms of or my comments on our special teams, I've got written down here, suck up for MVP. No return game still. Nice to see another team struggle. I think that, for me, that sums it up.
Yeah.
I think, Dom, is there anything you want to add to Gary? I mean, it sounds like he's got it about right there.
Yeah, he's pretty much got. It was great watching Suck Up. He's made it boring again, watching kicking, which is fantastic. You don't expect him to miss. And he's another one whose contract's up this season. He's only on a 1-year deal. So they better be banging on his door as well, because we can't afford another kicker. We want to keep
the problem
him.
is we've got to bang on quite a few doors this season.
Yes.
So
David.
how much money is to go around in a lower salary cap?
I'm not sure how much carry space we've got either. Carry cap space we've got either. So that there might if it is low, obviously there have to be some restructuring on deals. We might see some players go if we want to keep others. So I think that'd be something interesting to keep an eye out there. So. Just to finish our discussion on the Bucs then, Gary, Dom and Tim, we're going to come to the last part of this segment, which is the magic wand. Dom, your favourite part of the show, I think, so I've got to come to you first for this one.
Only one.
What is there anything you want to wave your magic wand to get sorted for the game against the Falcons?
Well, I'm hoping to get McCoy more involved. That's my magic one, but I don't want it at the expense of Rojo being injured. Hopefully Rojo's fit, but even if he is, get McCoy more involved and I'll be happy. I could go on about more, but I'll just stick with one this week, just for Kieran's sake if he's watching.
You sure you don't want double-ended? You sure?
No, dude, I'm trying to look after your editing. Just the one.
Gary, what about you? What about your magic wand?
My magic wand is to improve the tackling. There was apparently 14 missed tackles in the game on Sunday. And I remember my old rugby coach always used to say, they can't run without their legs. And we don't seem to understand that because we try and arm tackle. To Tim's point about the offense giving our defense a break, well, if we could tackle better, the defense would get off the field more and give our offense more chances. So my magic wand would be, for goodness sake, can we please make them tackle properly? Bring them to the ground. Grab them round the legs.
And Tim, what about you?
Well, I've already highlighted it earlier. Bringing Mike Edwards or Antoine Winfield closer to the line of scrimmage to support that short passing game. They've got, we're going to go up against Gurley, Hayden Hurst, who tend to thrive in that sort of area. We've got to bring up some support somewhere because they haven't got a wide game, particularly at this moment.
All great points, I must say. Gary, I'm going to agree with you. One thing I find so frustrating is when you see the players going in with the shoulder or they're trying to make this huge, big hit. If you take away the legs, they can't move. Just wrap around the legs and they'll come down. So, Gary, I agree. I think for my magic wand as well, I'm going to say let's make this tackling a bit better and let's stop them getting these converting these third downs, etc., and get our defense off the field and bring the offense back on. So that was the view of our panel on the Vikings game. Now we're going to see what some of our members thought on the game. We're going to start with Red Alex Howells. I caught up as the final whistle went. That did not look it was going to end well, but the pass rush arrived. Brady turned the radar on and we executed far better after falling behind. We should beat Atlanta twice and the Lions could be anything. So hopefully playoffs and whatever that brings. I love his optimism. I'm going to share that. I really hope he's right on that one. Tom Lawrence, big wing. So close now to the playoffs, can almost taste it. Yep, we can too, Tom. Fingers crossed we will get there. I mean, I can certainly say I've only been a Bucs fan for 8 years, so I've never seen us in the playoffs. So I'm really hoping that we do get there this year. And finally, we've got London Daniel, it's official. We can no longer have a losing season this year. Worst we can get is 8-8. So there's some positive. A 500 season at least for the Bucs this year. On to our competitions now, and boy, are you lot lucky, because we don't just have one competition for you this week. Oh no, we pushed the boat out. We've got 2 for you. So we're going to start off by spinning to see who wins the Buccaneers cap, which has very kindly been donated by Alex Howell. So Alex, a big thank you for that. Good luck to everyone who entered. It's time to spin the wheel and see who is going to win the Buccaneer cap. And there we go. So, Gary, congratulations. You're the proud new owner of a stunning Buccaneer cap. I'm not going to lie, a little bit jealous. I really wanted that one. I thought it looked really nice. But, Gary, that will be on its way to you very soon.
Well, they both live in Bristol, so that'll be easy.
Oh, there we go. That'll make it nice and quick. Forget the postage. Maybe Alex can drop it around for Gary.
Yeah.
On to competition number 2, and this is a really special one. So over on Instagram, first of all, we need to say a big thank you to how they drew it up. Their link will be in the description below also, as they are generously donating a prize, which is a poster depicting the unbelievable moment that Derek Brooks intercepted Rich Gannon in the Super Bowl and ran the ball 44 yards in for the touchdown, which sealed that Super Bowl victory. Thank you to everyone who entered. A lot of entries on this, 41 entries in total. So let's spin the wheel and see who's the winner of this very special prize. Stephen, congratulations. Brilliant. Well done, Stephen. That is a great prize.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. And that will also be on its way to you very, very soon. So congratulations to our winners on the competitions. It's now time to have a look at the first of 2 games, shall I say, that we've got coming up against the Atlanta Falcons. So the Bucs travel to the Falcons on Sunday. It's a 6 p.m. kickoff here in the UK. A big game, as they are certainly a strong rival for the Buccaneers. And also the Bucs are coming up against 2 former head coaches in Raheem Morris, the current interim head coach of the Falcons, and the offensive coordinator, Dirk Cutter. The series record for the Bucs, unfortunately, is in the Falcons' favour. We played the Falcons 53 times, and they've won 28, and we've won 25. And over the previous 7 meetings, the Falcons have won 6. Surely it's time for us to change that now. The talent we've got in our team, and also the Falcons are awful this year. So, Gary, let's start with you on this one. What's your key to the Buccaneers winning this game?
For me, it comes down to, I mean, I know it sounds obvious, but it comes down to the team that plays better. These are 2 teams who know each other really, really well. I don't think anything any team is going to do will surprise the other team, with the possible exception of that trick play that Atlanta ran last weekend, if you remember that, when they lined Matt Ryan up out wide as a receiver, snapped it straight to Russell Gage, I think, and he hurled it a mile down the field beautifully for a touchdown. Dirk Cutter called that play. How many plays like that did he call when he was running our offense? I can't remember very many, that's for sure. So for me, it just basically comes down to who plays better. I hope we run the ball. I hope we run it as well as we've been running it. And I'm a bit concerned, as I said earlier, about Rojo's injury. So I hope Fournette, if he plays, comes out really mean and really wants to make a statement on the game. They've got their injuries as well. I think Julio Jones missed the game last weekend.
Yeah, he did. So, and he is doubtful for the game against us at the moment.
Good. I hope that turns to out. And I hope Rojo plays. But, we won't find that out until later in the week, unfortunately. So it's a winnable game, without a doubt. My big concern is the Falcons know us really well. Their coaching staff know us really well. The word I keep using, you used it earlier on in the podcast, was creativity. We just don't seem to use any creativity. For me, we're far, far too predictable. And by being unpredictable, that means that we're going to show some creativity. As Tim was saying earlier, 3rd and 2, and we hurl it 30 yards. So why not be creative and on a 3rd and 2, run it for 3 yards or throw it for 3 yards?
So you mentioned Fournette earlier. Is he the player you think, if providing he plays, is he the one we need to watch from the Bucs side in the game?
Well, yes, I think he is if he plays. But the person I really want to watch, and I really want to have a monster game for no other reason than I want him to get 1,000 yards, is Mike Evans. I would love Mike Evans to walk off on Sunday night with 160, 170 yards and bring him back in with a shout of having the 1,000-yard season.
I'm going to hope you're right there, Gary, because he's in my fantasy team. So I'll absolutely love that if he does that. Tim, what about you? What's your key to the game for hopefully a Buccaneers victory?
For a Buccaneers victory, there's one word, and that's balance. We need to even that time of possession out. My first point I put on here, which Gary is now pitched to me, is who will run the ball for us, and that will provide a balance. The injury to Ronald Jones is really unfortunate. Can a running back play with a broken finger? Very, very doubtful. Very doubtful. It will make everything as simple as a handoff a bit more problematical. So I don't see really that he'll play that much, if he can play at all. So I want to see more balance out of our team. And as I said earlier, the other bit I want to get into play is, I wrote here, tee off against Matt Ryan, who is as mobile as I am. Yeah?
Very harsh on him.
Cannot, we got 2 quarterbacks playing Sunday who are going to be fairly static within 3 or 4 yards. It is our opportunity, bit of pressure inside, force the guards inside, and then tee off with Barrett and JPP on the outside. So the other bit then for me is bring that safety back up.
You mentioned specifically there about bringing the pressure onto Matt Ryan. Am I right in assuming that in terms of the players to watch from your side, it's going to be our defensive, our linebackers, or the defensive line and the rush that they bring?
I see our defensive line, because one player we don't mention very much, who's fitted in really well and taken over from a great player in Vita Vea, is Raheem Nunez. Roches. Yeah, that guy, in fairness, has stepped up. I thought when they brought Steve McClendon in, I thought his job would end. But Steve McClendon is not playing the number of snaps I thought he would, considering the reputation he came with. So Raheem has done really, really, really well. So if we can keep that pressure with him, Will Golston and McClendon in the middle, then it'll free up that time for JPP, for Barrett, and then potentially Devin White, Levante David, or one of the safeties blitzing from the outside as well.
Dom, what about you? What's your keys to this game?
Well, I've been looking on the Falcons forums, and God, you thought we were depressed last season. They are desperate. They want rid of everyone. They want a total clear out.
Yeah.
Matty Ice doesn't look so cool at the moment. They only ran it for 70 yards versus the Chargers. They had no sort of run game at all. So hopefully our O-line, I think, will be okay. They're not as bad as their record suggests they are, because they've lost some ridiculous games that they should have won, including on Sunday.
Yeah,
I think that was the third or fourth time this season.
The Cowboys game springs to mind as well. I'm sure if that's what you're referring to, those games where they had those big leads. Yeah, big
leads, and they've thrown it away. They've found ways to lose, which is why Morris is in charge at the moment. Julio Jones, he was in my fantasy team when I got one, and apparently they think they might pull him for the season now. They might do. Now, fingers crossed that's right, because we've got to play him twice. And then the only other threat I would say is Ridley, and he is a great player.
Absolutely.
And every time I watch the Falcons, he really does impress me. Really impress me. And I think he's a good player. But if we've just got to worry about him, I think we'll be all right. Because Ryan is looking a bit like a rabbit in the headlights now. Yeah,
he certainly. I described him as Matty fallen through the ice as opposed to Matty Ice recently. I've never been a big fan of Matt Ryan. I've got to be honest, but I think that's my pure hatred for the Falcons coming over there. So who's the player that you think we need to watch from either the Bucs or the Falcons on Sunday, Dom?
Ridley would be the ones from the Falcons, definitely, and I think Barrett would be the one who I'd like to have a monster game for the Bucs, because I think if we can get to Ryan, at least put him under pressure, I think we're right. I think we'll be okay anyway. Apparently, we're 92% with the New York Times chance of us making the playoffs. 92%. When's the last time we said that?
Before I was a Bucs fan, I think.
yeah.
Sorry, Gary.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, in the Falcons game last week, I think Ryan was sacked twice but intercepted 3 times, and 2 of those times were when they were driving towards the end of the game. And I'm pretty sure I've got a memory somewhere at the back of my brain that he was sacked 9 times in a game a couple of games ago.
Goodness me!
So
wow,
if I've dragged it out and I'm correct, Barrett and JPP may well have a field day. They only need, I think JPP needs half a sack and Barrett needs 2, and they will both have 10 for the season. And in 2 10-sack players doesn't happen every year, as we all know.
We'd be going right back to Stapp, I think, before since we've had that.
It's only happened twice before,
Yeah.
And how satisfying would that be as Bucs fans to see them do it against the Falcons as well? Or not just Falcons, any of the NFC South teams, in fact, our main rivals. How satisfying would it be? So let's just bring this.
Normally go that well in Atlanta either. That's the other concern. As Gary knows, I've driven 800 miles to see us lose 50 odd points, and he's laughed at me while I was actually in the stadium. We don't play well in Atlanta. I've been there 4 or 5 times. I think I've seen us win once.
I don't know what it is about Atlanta. We just struggle against them. I don't know why. It's as though we just caving against them. But I say this every time we play them. It's going to be different. I'm going to say it again. We're winning this Sunday. I'm going to go on record and say that now.
We are.
So let's just bring this section to a close, everybody, with our score predictions. Dom, how do you see this one panning out?
Comfortable as ever. I'm always confident anyway, but I've put 28-17 to Tampa Bay, and they'll be lucky to get 17. We're going to hammer them, and we're going to put a mark down for the rest of the NFL. Look out, Tampa are coming.
I hope you're right, Dom. I'm going to share that optimism with you. Gary, what's your scoreline prediction?
Well, Dom has just took the words right out of my mouth, because I think Brady is going to impress on these guys the need to build momentum through December into the playoffs. And I can see, well, I'm not so sure comfortable is quite the word I would use, but I think we're going to win. I think we'll win going away. And the score I predicted earlier, I wrote down here, was 35-21. I hope they don't get anywhere near 21, but I think we'll win by at least a couple of scores.
Gary, I love your prediction so far.
Oh,
Dom, Gary, big thumbs up for me. Tim, let me make it 3 thumbs up. What's your score prediction?
Absolutely 3 thumbs up. I virtually predicted Gary's same score because I wrote down 34-20 would be my score. Do I see us winning by 2 touchdowns? As long as we play balanced football, a comfortable 2-touchdown win. Because their main offensive weapon, we mentioned Ridley, their other main offensive weapon is their kicker. And that comes to something when your kicker is their other main offensive weapon.
It's a concern, isn't it?
Good mind.
He is, but it's a big concern when your kicker is that your main offensive scorer. Well, I'm not sure he's quite that far, but he's certainly put a lot of points up for the Falcons this year. I'm going to be honest. I've let my heart rule my head. Let my heart rule a little bit with my score. I hope we thrash them. I hope we absolutely rip them to pieces.
Come on.
I've gone for 34-10 to the Bucs.
Hey.
But like I say, I think my heart is. Cheers, John. I think my heart is ruling big time there. But I look at the Falcons this year. They've given up big points on defense. Matt Ryan is not as good as he used to be. Tom Gurley looks not even that. He looks. Compared to what he was at the Rams, he looks nothing like that player anymore. And of course, Julio Jones looks like he's out as well. So I predict a big win for the Bucs. I hope them smiling by the end of it, and I'm not crying. So but we'll find out at the end of Sunday. So there we go. That is our show for today. Thank you ever so much for listening. Do remember, we're not just on YouTube. We are also available to download, so you can listen to us on the move. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, and Overcast. So all that is left for me to do is to thank Dom, Gary, and Tim for joining me. Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy the Atlanta game, and we will see you again very soon. Goodbye.